Good morning. My name is Romeo Durscher, and I welcome you to the first session, Drones. I'm the Director of Public Safety Integration at DJI, and I'm extremely excited to be here this morning. So this is not a drone picture, but this is a picture taken by the International Space Station above the San Francisco Bay Area, my home. Born and raised in Switzerland, I moved to the United States to fulfill a dream of mine. I wanted to work on a space mission, and I managed to spend almost 13 years working on a NASA space mission. At NASA, we did science, technology, engineering, and math really well. But then I joined DJI, and we were able to add the A for arts: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So, a picture of me flying a drone ended up in the Associated Press, and now there's a formula. Crazy drone story, lazy journalist, my picture's taken. If you believe the media, I have done it all. Drone reportedly collides with passenger jet in London. This is how the media in 2015 and 16 saw the drone technology. Drone knocks woman unconscious at gay pride parade. German court throws out case. Now this one I really like because it makes me look younger. In this particular case, man got accused of spying into hospital, but he got acquitted. Again, this was... Oh, I didn't do that. Trust me. And the next one is the only one that is photoshopped, because a crazy headline like drone follows woman from bar, crashes into her car, there can only be a picture like that. Times have changed. The way media now sees this technology is quite different. Why? Because the drone technology is starting to help public safety and disaster relief. Like we saw last year in the United States when we had a series of hurricanes and wildfires. The good news is, together we're learning how to really utilize this technology for the greater good of the public. So, to give you a little bit of an idea how the industry evolved, in 2006, DJI started with about 20 people. Today, we're over 12,000 people. That's a reflection of the industry. And about a quarter of those individuals working for us are R&D engineers, a huge powerhouse that can take challenges and create solutions. And we started out catering to the hobbyists, the creative minds. But we have realized that we can also provide solutions to enterprise and public safety. So this is really exciting because we're still very early on. And the drone has a specific role. It's a data capturing device that consists of a platform that has a sensor, potentially a camera, and then us creating a flight path with the purpose of gathering data. We want to get that data, process the data either on board or then with analytic software and extract important information out of it. And based on that information, we can make decisions faster and potentially better. So this is really exciting. This is like a circle. So that led us to create 4 pilot test sites with EENA. We started the discussion end of 2015, 2016, as we heard in the video before. We created these 4 pilot test sites to really dig deeper into drone technology, the challenges and the possibilities, and we created a white paper. The white paper was really one of the goals of that phase 1 with the EENA and DJI project. We wanted to provide helpful information to public safety. But we did a little bit more than that. Part of it was also we wanted to come up with recommendations, lessons learned. Why should some other department reinvent the wheel when we can provide them with helpful information? And we wanted to be the vocal discussion point around all the topics drones, including the regulatory environment. And we learned a lot of really important information. Like, there is no one integration model that works for every fire department or search and rescue unit or law enforcement department. And we also learned that you don't just use the drone during a particular incident, but the drone has become an expendable tool, meaning the data it collects is potentially worth more than the hardware. And realizing that changes the way we operate this platform. We also learned that we need additional sensors. Just a visible light camera is already great, but there is more we need to do. We need to collect more information so we don't have to put people in harm's way. And we definitely need more rugged hardware because reality is the search and rescue operation doesn't happen on a nice, beautiful, sunny and no wind day. And drones are also being used indoor. The most important piece, the data needs to go to the right people, either close by or far away immediately. So live streaming capabilities are key in order for this technology to have a super fast impact. So some of the advances that we've done because of these lessons learned is new drone models, additional applications that help, and capabilities that didn't exist just 2 years ago. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into some of these additional solutions. One being DroneSAR. DroneSAR is an app, and we heard from the team at DroneSAR earlier in the video, that really helps search and rescue operations. The app is based, in essence, on the drone, and it helps the operator and the team with specific functionalities. And I'm really excited that DroneSAR is also part of EENA's Crisis Tech Incubator program, where EENA wants to bring these startup companies together and bring solutions to the market. And even more exciting, DroneSAR got nominated at the AUVSI Humanitarian Project Award. And just next week in Denver, Colorado, the announcement will be made who's the winner. And of course, my fingers are crossed for DroneSAR as this is really a fantastic solution for search and rescue. Another solution that has come out of this project is something we did internally. We realized that when you use thermal cameras in the air, you have additional challenges, and we wanted to create a simpler solution for the firefighter or for the search and rescue mission. AGBs is another fantastic way of showcasing where the technology is going. Augmented reality overlay on live drone video feed. Imagine the possibilities. If you're flying and you can see the street name, the house number, where the incident call came from, you can have weather data information overlaid on top of your live video feed. That's tremendous information that can help you make better and faster decisions. This is where the technology is heading. So, more sensors. It is imperative that we use the data to the best possible way. And just a couple of weeks ago, we announced a second-generation thermal camera that has both visible light as well as thermal light included in one camera. And thanks to software, we can do some amazing things in the background. We can overlay the thermal on top of the visible light. That's just one example of how beneficial a partnership with EENA and working with public safety can be for a company that wants to create solutions. And we also opened up our payloads so third-party developers can create sensors to attach to our system, send the data through the system to incident command. Imagine a gas monitor or a radiation reader that flies on a drone and picks up that information, sends it back right to the safe zone. No need to send in people in expensive suits and put them in harm's way. And here's an example of some of those solutions. A simple spotlight that has a laser integrated that helps you not only light up the area, but pinpoint to a certain area on a roof where maybe the fire has already weakened the structure, so firemen don't go on top of that roof and try to cut a hole in and fall through. So I'm really excited to announce phase 2 of this partnership, which starts in essence today and will go through 2019. And the plan is to analyze the tactical day-to-day operations a little bit more in depth. But we also wanted to do clinical trial studies in search and rescue, as well as fire rescue. An additional thing that we want to do in this phase 2 of the partnership is we want to better understand How do law enforcement, search and rescue units, and fire departments utilize the drone technology, including the software components? And how do they use it pre-incident and post-incident for like forensics? And lastly, we want to improve together the capabilities of getting the data more integrated into a command center structure. And if you read the media, you see a lot of claims being made, how drones are saving lives and time and money. But where is the data that supports that piece? As an industry, we in the drone industry need to do a better job with validating data sets. If we say drones save time, we need to have data to back this up. If we say drones save lives, we need to have data to back this up. And that's another piece of the puzzle that we want to do. We want to apply scientific methods to develop and evaluate the safety of these platforms and support emergency response by having that data available. And in essence, what this is the next generation technologies and applications and tests and data that help the regulatory environment. So how are we going to go about this? We created a phase 1 study. And based on that phase 1 study, we are now designing the trials. And we're looking for volunteer search and rescue units in either Ireland area or Wales, or units that are willing to come to that location and participate in this design. And we're going to run search and rescue trials. We collect data. We're going to analyze the data to really validate the difference between a search and rescue unit without a drone and a search and rescue unit with a drone. And based on that data, we'll analyze it and we will create a report. And that report will be extremely helpful for a variety of things. We can use it for policy, for planning, for the development of future platforms, sensors, software, and how to manage all the data. In 2017, we released a report that looked at how many lives have really been saved by drone. And we looked at only incidents where the drone was the crucial factor in saving a life. And during a period of roughly 4 years, there were 16 incidents that resulted in 59 lives saved. That's quite remarkable. And what's even more remarkable is that 34 incidents or 34 people were saved by use of civilian drones. Back in the days, the hobbyists had drones and helped public safety entities during times of crisis. 39 were saved during floods and so on. And the good news is that this trend continues, not only in the United States, but also here in Europe. And I'm super excited to say that we are just about to release the updated report on how many lives has the drone saved. And we are looked at the May 2017 to the March timeframe. We had 27 incidents in only 1 year, resulting in 65 lives saved. That's over 1 person a week that was actively saved because of a drone. Thermal imagery is a huge benefit, and 15 people were saved. It's becoming a standard tool for public safety, and not only to look, but to also deliver goods, communications, a live vest. That is exciting. What this means is we are reducing the risk, the time, and the cost. And we're going to back this up with validated data over the next year, 2 years, to really showcase that this technology has a spot in public safety. Drones for good. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name's Ed Parsons from Google, and for the next 20 minutes or so, my job is to drill a little bit more into the detail of what Romeo was talking and really understand how we can actually make drones a practical, usable device for dealing with emergency services. So we are going to pull up now from the audience some of the people that have been involved in that partnership over the last couple of years and give them an opportunity to talk a little bit more about that to you, and also to give you an opportunity to ask some questions. So for the next few minutes, think about any questions you might want to ask, and at the end of the session, you'll have an opportunity to do so. So if I can ask to come up from the audience, Alfonso Zamarro, who's EENA's Activities Manager for Drones, if you want to join us here. Tomas Gislason from the 112 service in Iceland. Here he comes. Steve McLinden, who is the Transformation 2020 Digital Project Manager for the Mid and West Wales Fire and Rescue Service, and Andreas Mumma, who is the Assistant Lecturer at the Fire and Rescue College of the Estonian Academy of Security Sciences. Okay, thank you, welcome everyone. My first question then actually is for Steve. Now, I've heard that drones are, after fire appliances, the second most requested asset from your services. How did that happen? And actually, do you have some data that can help us in understanding what's the real benefit for drones from your perspective?
Okay, yeah, good morning, everybody. Yeah, our journey with drones in Mid and West Fire and Rescue Service has been quite outstanding for us. If you'd asked us in 2015 how we would think drones would impact on operational incidents, we'd probably answer, what's a drone? Now, as you say, it is the busiest asset we've got apart from our fire appliances. And the way we did that was that we had the opportunity where all the key components to make a project such as this successful came into place. And that was one, we got a high-level strategic buy-in. We did get support funding from Welsh Government, who were very keen to see this technology to come into place, particularly for wildfires. So with those two key elements, we then started a program where we determined all the potential incidents that the drone could be deployed to and mandated that they were assigned and mobilized. We also put in place that nobody could stop the drone from attending apart from the drone team. So we would get there, because there was a tendency for those fire and rescue service personnel that if you've got an incident, you tend to want to keep it to yourself, and other things coming on, especially if you don't know about them, you're not keen. So we made a point of always getting there, assessing, and actually doing a lot of hearts and minds and deployment and showing them the tech. Once, like a lot of agencies who deploy drones, once we got over the novelty of flying the drone, we started to really highlight on the advantage that the data and the imagery gave, and we started to see more and more requests, for instance, which we wouldn't normally go to, that the officer in charge is saying, I would like the drone there. So what that's led to is that we're doing approximately, in the last year, we did something like, we were assigned to about 270 incidents. And what we're finding is that the effectiveness for us and the situational awareness is increased tenfold. We get a lot of operational learning, so we can go back and review, and we're allowing the incident commanders to review back on what their perception of the incident was and the decisions they made, and then they can look back at the real-time data there. From effectiveness, the instances that I can sort of quote as case studies, we got called back in 2016 to report of 20 hectares of mountain woodland on fire. Our normal procedure would be we'd send probably 4 or 5 appliances to cover different areas to try and get a situational view. This time we mobilised the drone, we flew it, and we ended up sending one appliance who was there for half an hour because it just went to the fire front. So there was a considerable saving there. What we're also seeing is that, as Romeo was talking earlier on about using the drones outside of ops, and we're saving a great deal of money and time in relation to being able to inspect our assets. We have a program where we inspect our roofs and drill towers of our 80 properties, which costs about £5,000 a time to get scaffolding and engineers in so we can go and fly the drones. And also we're able to use the drones for pre-incident planning, and we can start to get an aerial view and start to do tabletop exercises using real-time imaging there. So, but the most important thing for us, I think, from drones is that it's acted as a catalyst for us. to actually look at how digital technologies can work for and enhance the work we do. And we've moved on from drones now to we're looking at integrated incident management software, and we're working with partners within the EENA family to do that. But we're also starting to step into the realms of artificial intelligence to act as a filter between the real-time data to get the interface for the end user right, so it's not data overload. We're looking at GPS tracking, internal tracking, augmented reality, mixed reality. So for us, it's just expanding, and it's thanks to being part of the EENA Phase 1 project, and also getting to know colleagues in other countries and fire and rescue services. And Thomas said on the video from Copenhagen there that we've all got the same problems and the challenges, it's just in a different place.
Thank you, Steve. I mean, that's really interesting, that idea of drones being something that will kickstart other transformation processes within your organization, because they are, so visible, so much of a gravity point. Now, Thomas, I understand that your SAR teams are largely volunteers, so your pilots and your operators don't do this as their main job. So how does that work? How are they funded?
So this is on? Well, yeah. I think in the program I'm introduced as 112 Iceland, and I'm deputy CEO there. But I'm also chief of HSSR, which was featured here in the video. It's probably the largest search and rescue unit in Iceland. There are 99 search and rescue units in Iceland, and they're all volunteers. So that's what we do in our spare time in the evenings. And my team actually started investing in drones, basically hobby-type drones, back in 2014, 15. And then we were fortunate enough to participate in this DJI trial with EENA, and that sort of moved us quite a bit forward. Originally, people in general were rather annoyed with drones in general, but now they've proven themselves, and we have been quite often asked to come in to assist police and fire in their missions. Although that's probably going to go down now, since they've all bought their own drones because they've been convinced, and they are learning. So even though the search and rescue are all volunteers and it's hobbyists, they put their own money into it. And of course, the bigger teams like ours is organized. We've gone through a lot of practice on how to best do this. You need to have a pilot, you need to have an analyst, and someone looking ahead, the commander. Basically, a 4-person team is a typical size drone team, although the smaller units can't really afford that. So maybe they're just a pilot and the driver of the car, which also does the loading of the batteries and so on and so forth. 99 teams in Iceland, 25 of them already have drones. Wow. And that's just expanding. When we started 2014, people were thinking we were silly not buying another Jeep, but rather spending money on drones. But Jeeps can only get you to the mountain. Drones can actually be used to show you the way up, and in that way save a lot of time, and that cuts down on people because we have a lot of space to cover, a lot of difficult terrain. We've used drones to locate people in glacier crevasses and stranded on mountains, trying to figure out, okay, where are the people? And then once you got them, then you can guide the rescue teams to the location, which is quite fortunate. But of course, time in the air is a difficulty. 27 minutes to search a vast area is not really a lot. So we are also looking into other types of drones, just fuel operated, and we are actually doing tests now in a couple of weeks with a German team with drones that can fly up to 7 or 8 hours on a search mission, and then you can just set out the grid to be flown. We still don't know if it's going to be practical in rural areas to stream video from there, but even if you just do this as a secondary search effort along with just your regular, I'm sure we will get very favorable data out of it.
Okay. Thomas, thank you very much. It's an interesting pattern, isn't it? I come from a more generic IT background, and I'm old enough to remember in the early 80s when microcomputers were perceived just to be toys, but now they're so much part of our lives. And I think we see that same pattern emerging, that drones were once seen as toys, now they're becoming a day-to-day operational tool. A lot of that depends on training the operators and the staff. Andreas, you represent the Estonian Academy of Security Science, and you're involved in training the future firefighters, the future drone operators. Can you tell us about what you're doing?
Yeah, that's correct. Good morning to everyone. At the moment, we are establishing the Center of Excellence for Drones and GIS in our Estonian Academy of Security Sciences. It's some kind of hub for first responding agencies. And inside this project, one of the things is also to start to train first responders and pilots among the first responders. At the moment in Estonia, we have, softly said, quite liberal framework of regulations, how to fly drones, how to certificate, and etc. And inside this project, if it happens, because our rector has to make a decision at the beginning of May, I will hope that we will get this Center of Excellence. It would be a very great deal for all responding agencies. And inside this project, we would like to at least to frame inside our internal security system, to frame the training, to make the training framework and also some legal framework inside our internal security agencies, and to start to train drone pilots there. But I'm not so worried about drone pilots, because we are flying at the moment also. But I'm more worried about the decision makers on the incident scene, incident commanders, the planners during the pre-planning sections, because we have not yet gained this understanding how to integrate the data which drones are producing for us to our decision-making process. Not to the decision-making process during the incidents, it's kind of online data, and how to gain the better situational awareness about this online information. We can say that we are making decisions like 30 years ago, getting this situational awareness, using our ears and using our eyes from the ground. And also to gain the understanding how the data and the products which are derived from this data, how they can be beneficial to our pre-planners. For example, during some pre-planning sessions to large-scale conferences, or some kind of large-scale, how to say, not incidents, but possible future incidents. This is where I'm mostly worried, and I think that the biggest effort we have to put to train the decision makers and the planners how to integrate this data to our decision-making process.
Thank you very much. That's a very important point, isn't it? It's about this new, one of many new streams of information. How do we integrate those into that decision-making process? It's a real key topic. Now, I always think that I have a great job title, being a technologist working for Google, involved in mapping. But actually, I look across at Romeo and I think, well, that's quite a good job, isn't it? That's quite cool. You get all the new technology to play with. So, Romeo, what technology is coming along stream? You mentioned the different types of sensors that are now emerging. What else are we going to spend our money on in the next few years?
That's a great question, and I think the EENA team has realized that AR and AI, augmented reality and artificial intelligence, are part of the future. And we will see and are seeing this already in the drone industry as well. Imagine if you had the AR overlay during a flooding and you can't see the streets, you can't see landmarks, but now suddenly out of nowhere appears this beautiful outline of the road with the name on it, the house numbers. It's amazing technology. And now think if we have in the background a brain that takes all this data and puts it together and gives you predictive models during your flight. For example, a wildfire, looking at the fire line, calculating the speed of the wildfire and giving you a prediction model right there and then. With artificial technology, intelligence, we can do that, and that's happening. That's happening in the background, and very soon that's happening on the drone itself. So extremely exciting things are coming. And we have to realize that the drone is only a platform, it's only a tool. The real important piece is that data that comes from it. And we're still in the super early phases. And this is absolutely right. The challenge is not just the drone pilot and mastering the art of flying, which is a skill, but it's also the incident commander and the entire chain that needs to understand what to look for, how to make sense of this data. And again, the integration of that data piece into the larger picture, because it's only one piece of data. There are the body cams, there are street cameras, there are satellite views. There's so much data that it can be overwhelming to any incident commander. And how do we strip all of this down? And then one last thing that I think people are not really thinking about enough is what to do with all that data after. You know, do we just store it on a hard drive and put it on a shelf for 10 years? Or how do we keep that data? How do we manage it so that we have it accessible, so we can extract even more information for potentially, pre-disaster planning? So some really interesting things are happening in the industry.
Brilliant, thank you. I mean, that's a common recurring theme. I'm sure we're going to come back across this acquisition of more and more data, the appliance of AI and machine learning to understand that, to produce better data products. Finally, Alfonso, you've, I suppose, had that role of overseeing all of these activities happening. What's the general view then of how does it, how do first responders best make use of this technology from an operational point of view? What have you seen?
Well, from what I've seen after visiting several pilot sites and actually speaking with many people from our community, I think what's the best practice actually that we're seeing is really on what we see in the tech world, what we call is lean innovation. So really, the first time we spoke about drones at EENA, there were plenty of questions in the air. How long can it fly? How are we going to manage all these pilots? So really, instead of taking the big approach of let's create a full team, get a very complex platform, and request like a large budget, what we've seen, it's very interesting, is in these organizations which are taking the opposite approach, which is basically, let's get a small platform, let's get a small drone, and let's go out with it. Let's try it out, and let's discover actually how it can benefit us. And it's very interesting because we can discuss here in events, in meeting rooms and everything, how this technology can actually benefit us, but it's when you are on the field actually using it that you discover really the real benefits of this tool and how you manage it. Some interesting cases where they were telling us once about a building which was about to collapse, and they didn't know how high it was. And suddenly the pilot of the drone was there, and he decided to just put the drone on the top of the building, and okay, with the altimeter I can actually measure it. So these kind of things that you would never think about it until you're in front of that situation, isn't it? So, but then when you discover all of those things, then you start understanding how, what specific tools you need. So then now I realize that I need a drone with more autonomy. So we can actually request more budget, more funds based on facts that we went out to discover. We need now a thermal camera, or now we know that we need this for a certain number of events, so we need a full team to have the drone available in all those different shifts. And I think as well these collaborations that are built between the public and private side, and even through the EENA platform with DJI EENA is a great example of it. So we started first, let's just try it out and see what we can do with drones, and where are the challenges, where are the good practices. And from there, now we have better drones, now we have better applications, and we have better understanding, and we have teams who are actually actively using this technology. And now the next step is leading us to an even larger project, understanding exactly how it's beneficial. So it's, it's this approach of walking step by step and collaborative as well that I think it's a very good practice. Yeah.
Brilliant. Alfonso, thank you so much. And I think that's a key term, isn't it, that collaboration. You have here across the sofas a huge amount of experience and knowledge now in this new emerging field. I'm going to open up the group here for questions now from the audience. So if you could get the lights up so we can see out to the audience, see if anyone wants to ask a question. And if you do ask a question, if you could say who you are, who you represent, and to aim your question at a specific person, that would be great. So any questions from the audience? We've got time for a few questions. You, sir, there.
Yes, good morning, everyone. This is Frederick Costa here from Euracy. I had a question for Romeo. You mentioned in your presentation that it's not enough just for the drone to get data and provide it locally, but also to get it in the hands of the right people also far away. Obviously, in many search and rescue situations, connectivity is very limited. So my first question is, how big of a problem is it when there's no connectivity for the drone or for the people to be able to send that data? And secondly, if the solution you've been using is a satellite-based one, which one have you looked at and how?
Yes, absolutely. Oftentimes, especially search and rescue operations, I'm looking at Iceland, for example, you're out in the nowhere and you very likely will not have LTE or 4G or any G connectivity. So what do you do then? And that's exactly the question we need to look into. There are satellite options, but of course, the moment you talk satellite, you're talking about big money. But then the question is, do we really need all those data points? Do we need a 4K video or a high-resolution images to be sent to a satellite so it can go to some incident command center? What are the pieces of information we could extract from the data and put it into a really tiny little file that can go across? So yes, there are still challenges to overcome, especially when we're talking about rural areas, search and rescue, and providing that live feed. And the interesting thing is telecommunication companies, especially in the United States, are also very interested in providing first responders with better connectivity options, because that's not only great business for them, but it helps the entire infrastructure. So this is not just a one company or one person type of approach. This is really, as a collective, we need to figure out what data, how can we make it as small as possible, what assets can we utilize either on ground or in space, and how can we make this all work across. So early on, and I think we will have a much better picture within the next 12 months.
Romeo, thank you. Okay, I think we've got time for one more question. Lady at the back there.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Sims Witherspoon from Google. Hi, Ed.
Hello.
My question is also for Romeo, unless there's someone else on the panel that would like to take it. You all have each mentioned, but Romeo specifically, how important data is going to be in the collection of data through these drones and just how much information you're actually going to be able to pull. Given that during this presentation we saw a variety of collection, including video as well as thermal imagery being captured, how are you all thinking about data privacy and just protection of all of that information?
I think this is one of the best questions that have come up, because this is, reality is, this is not just a European issue or an American issue. This is a global issue of data privacy and data security. And reality is, God, it's not easy. It's super complex, but we need to find solutions. And the good news is that we have a regulatory framework already in place that in most places respects a reasonable amount of privacy. And now we're having these flying devices in 3D space that can potentially go anywhere. And I'm talking about helicopters, by the way, not drones. You get my point. We already have technology that can look at things. It's not just the drone that's creating this data privacy and data security concern. It's all technology that picks up potentially personal information. And we, as a community, have to find ways on mitigating the risks, finding solutions, and setting expectations.
Romeo, great. Now, before I ask you to thank the audience, thank the group here, just look at them, remember their faces. These are the people you want to go and ask questions over the next couple of days, because the amount of knowledge and expertise here will cost you tens of thousands of euros if you went to a management consulting group. Here are the people that you want to talk to, okay? All right, let's thank the group here for their morning's work. Thank you very much. Now, you heard a number of times the importance of this emerging field of artificial intelligence. Stay in your seats. That's what we're going to cover in the next session. Thank you all very much. Thank you.